and Steve Jobs had a vision. The very first Steve Jobs computer was actually the brainchild of his friend, Steve Wozniak. Woz did the wiring, Jobs did the dreaming. And behold, the Apple I. No power supply, no casing, just a beginning.
He ultimately hits upon this idea that computer technology can be the source of transcendence, that can transform our lives, that can help us live on a different plane, a different dimension.
The invention of the Apple Macintosh turned the vision of technology to a whole different perspective. The first computer was the start of a historical event that expanded on the outlook of today's technologies. The latest inventions in the 21st century includes prototype of smartphone computer glasses, apps, iCloud, portable mini computers, and high-speed 3G and 4G smartphones themselves. The popularity of these high-end products is so successful that people rely on internet to help them with common knowledge and professional careers such as medical technology. These devices are so phenomenal that people depend and become addicted to the fortunes first created by the one and only Apple Inc. The start of it all began with the first phase of revolutionary technology, the Apple Macintosh. Founded and invented in 1984 by a group of people including the legends of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. This was a special invention known as the very first home computer that expanded the creations of new software. This invention was created in hopes of saving time and making life easier for the people of our generation. The people made research well organized in the comfort of your own home instead of going to a library. In the 1920s to 2000s, the impact of this invention emerged into a technological boom, which made more advanced systems and handhelds such as calculators, the first cellular phone, and other communication devices. Before this great significance, early computers attempted to be made into machine-like computers but soon failed. For Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, creating the Mac had a lot of pros and cons to it. The amount of gigabytes the computer could hold was incredible along with its features. Even though it couldn't store as much as the second Mac, Lisa, created later in 1983, what they could get the Mac to fulfill was a great achievement. Although this Apple product was satisfying to the buyers, it wasn't as impressive as people desired it to be. It could really only do basic functions and worked like a mechanical book, only with a word processor and a keyboard. When this product first emerged, Apple wanted to see how far it would take them, and when they started advertising the computer, the word got around and it became the new face of technology.
Jobs imagined a machine for the people, and he sensed he was the man to make it happen. The two Steves found an investor and formed Apple Computer Inc.
Did you ever own an Apple Macintosh? And if so, how old were you?
My family owned a couple of Apples. We owned an Apple II. Well, we owned the original Apple, and we owned the Apple IIe.
Apple I morphed into Apple II, which went further. It was faster, it had text display, color graphics, and its own plastic casing.
What features did the computer have?
Basically, there were a couple of games you could play on it. And really, the only thing the computer would show was like words on a screen.
What was your idea of a computer?
My idea of a computer was kind of like a big calculator. It could also do Word documents. So to me, that was like the only thing I really used it for was for typing a Word document. Before that, we used a typewriter.
How efficient was the first model computer?
About this, well, as far as efficiency, typing it out, printing it, saving it, it was pretty much the same as today. Your word processing back then was really, it was just basically you were typing a document, you could look at it on the screen. They didn't have spell check, they didn't have indent, if you wanted to indent, you would advance 5 spaces just like you would on a typewriter.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really sophisticated, but it was just as fast as a regular word processing computer.
Were they as expensive as modern day Macs?
They were. They were a lot more. In fact, when I got my first job as an engineering consultant, one of the computers that our company bought The boss actually sold his sailboat to buy a computer.
Did it satisfy your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I used it mostly, like I said, just to type papers and stuff. I didn't really use it for any mathematical applications. I didn't even know that you could do anything like that. But I would say, yeah, it did. It did everything I wanted it to.
Were you expecting anything more or less of it?
I think there were other computers that could play games, and that was new. And also other computers like the Nintendo 64. You could play games and write Word documents on it. So I think I was kind of disappointed that our computer you could only use it for schoolwork. You couldn't actually use it for actual games.
You don't have to be a tech geek to appreciate this shrine to the technology age.
The Apple Macintosh was the new electronic device that everybody had to have. Everyone was so fantasized by this new technological device and its features. The features of the Mac were what mainly caught people's attention into purchasing it. This computer was like nothing that had ever been released to the public before, and what amazed them was how futuristic it was. The Apple Mac was going to be the future and was going to make life easier. It was a huge upgrade from the previous inventions that were supposed to benefit time management, and now we have an even more sufficient piece of technology to assist us.
Steve Jobs was the guy who envisioned a computer on every desk, an earbud in every ear, and a device that would take multitasking to a whole new level.
His gut instinct was his genius, and it's absolutely unteachable.
It's rare when someone can affect your life in such a personal way and you don't know them at all.
The development of the Mac is surrounded by corporate intrigue. Yes, Jobs is brilliant, but he's also notoriously difficult. The board wants more of a grown-up to keep their young visionary in check.
Overall, this first home computer was a huge success. The creation of the Apple Macintosh is responsible for many other successful inventions that are presently owned by most of the world today. This manufactured success created the boom and expansion of the technological world. This simple functioning device changed our lives drastically, not at first, but over time. Eventually, as more and more products were being sold and the price rates decreased, the Mac was more affordable to the average person. As the technological world was advancing, Apple came out with new upgraded affordable products, such as the iPod, iPhone, iMac, and iPad. These inventions are what most of the world consumes their daily life with today. Yet, people are still trying to decide if this was a positive or negative outcome. The Apple Macintosh had played a huge role in the advancement of technology and made life easier to live.
Making things simple and beautiful. That was the genius of Steve Jobs from the very start.